So, the current situation is that we have some places marked for salvage currently. All of them the flashing dollar signs. And also, they're all difficult places to get to, actually, as you can see, except for this one right here. This is the easiest one to get to, but it's still surrounded. And everything further from that is going to be even harder to get to, especially the things in the core of the city right here. And so, for all of those things, I was planning on having at least this longbow and some arrows prepared before going out. The longbow we can make right now, like that. But the unfortunate thing is we don't actually have any arrow recipes beyond small game arrow, which are terrible. I'm not going to make small game arrows ever, unless something comes up and they just so happen to be the best arrow ever, which I'm sure is never going to happen. So instead of that, I'm going to level up fabrication, and I think I might need to level up archery as well in order to unlock more arrow recipes. But I'm going to do only fabrication for right now because that's what I know. Also, if we get to fabrication 3 by training with the distaff and spindle, then we can read the fabrication books to get it even higher. And I don't even remember how high we can get it with books, with all the books we have right now. But the unfortunate thing with this is that requires 2x4s. And looking at our supply of 2x4s, we will notice we only have 4 left. And so we'll need to disassemble some furniture before we can actually get very far with that. Oh yeah, and one really nice thing about this setup over here, these bookcases double as doors. A really nice feature. Fortunately that thing hasn't noticed me yet. I'm going to have to deal with that later. Have to. This is what happens to your commentary when you're trying to focus on 2 things at the same time. I have debated whether I should just break them with smashing them or disassembling them. However, disassembling them is more efficient, so I feel like that's going to be what we're going to need to do because we don't have a lot of furniture in the local area in the first place. So we need to conserve what we have. And look who's here. They noticed us as well, so probably going to need to do more kiting today before we can get a lot of 2x4s. I'm just going to kite all of these away from the headquarters to begin with, because this is irritating. Oh look, the brood already made its way in as well. Oh, and it's made it all the way in. Should I even bother with all of this right now? Oh, here's a desk we can disassemble right now. And they're probably just outside the door, waiting to come in. Trying to come in, actually. This is a vehicle? Ah, interesting. So, this here, as you can see, is a desk chair. I haven't noticed that until just now. It has casters, which is nice, and a seat, which is also nice. We can't disassemble any of it right now because we need a wrench and something similar to a hacksaw, or a hacksaw itself, anything like that. Oh look, some pre-destroyed furniture we can take advantage of. So I'm just going to grab everything I see that I want for the moment. I really hope they don't try to get into the headquarters anytime soon. I really don't want to spend any 2x4s on blocking up holes in the in the house. Oh yeah, another thing I just remembered, we have one pebble left for a slingshot that I'm not going to be using anymore because, which is better, the hatchet or the crowbar? I think the hatchet is better for my purposes. A slingshot is not something I ever want to use again with this character. I feel like we've used it enough for a long time. Oh yeah, and I forgot about this sitting here. There. That's enough rags for forever. Yeah, so I feel like this is enough 2x4 for training Distaff and Spindle for the moment. Probably want to get our focus as high as possible before starting. Also drinking the coffee for a stat boost as well as a moral boost and stimulants. As you can see, I can't actually get over to it, but the window furthest to the northeast, the move cost, the speed panel I believe it's called, you can see the temperature is having a negative effect, but not enough for me to be bothered by it. Something I actually tested with a different characters, instead of having fast reader, fleet-footed, and parkour expert, I removed fleet-footed and fast reader to get 3 points from those and put that into quick instead, so that instead of having a 15% speed boost on flat ground, I have 10%, so it's not that bad of a drawback, but it's also 10%, quick is a 10% boost on, I believe, all actions that require action points, instead of just walking on flat ground, which I think is actually much better than just fleet-footed. And since fast reader only helps with skill training, eventually once you get into the end game, it's going to be a meaningless trait. And even before then, it's not really necessary because you read fast enough anyway, usually. But quick is universally applicable, which makes it supremely powerful, just like night vision down here, and pack mule. All things I consider to be necessary for making the meta character. Also, robust genetics is really important for later, once you get into mutating. Which I did do with another character I have, which I did a lab start with, and that character, I gave them robust genetics and also genetically unstable, so they mutated at random, so that they could just evolve over time. And on top of that, I injected them with I think a dozen different random serums, and now they're just a super monster. But the unfortunate thing with them is that they have a few negative traits that are really irritating, like hooves, so they can't wear shoes, which makes it so that their feet get cold, and there's nothing I can do about it. But I think that's enough story time for right now. On to business. I'm going to continually renew the bonus on food. There. Actually, how many was that? That was, I think 11 exactly, unless I missed one, which I don't think I did. Actually, one thing I want to make right now is these lockpicks. Wait, no. I remember now, I have a book on... where is it? Mechanics. Yeah, I already have Mechanics level 3 because I read this book. But anyway, as you can see, we have new fabrication books we can get into. Fabrication to 6 on these two, and 5 on this one. But they all read at the exact same rate, so we only really need either of these two, and this one is objectively inferior in terms of skill training, but it does have other recipes the others don't. So, in this case... Oh, look. One of these has one negative fun sort of debuff, and the other one has a neutral in fun, and so this one is objectively better to read. So I'm going to be reading that one instead. But actually I'm not going to be reading all of it, because I want to check now exactly what I can craft from this current skill level. So taking a closer look, we have the pistol crossbow, of course, the bullet crossbow. I don't like crossbows because their reload time, especially the early game crossbows, are really protracted. The compound crossbow has the best reload time out of all of them that I checked, but even then it's not great. And the compound crossbow is, I think, a mid-game item, and we're nowhere close to mid-game right now. I don't like the throwing weapons either. Throwing in general is just cumbersome for me. Yeah, although I could rebind some of the keys for it to make it less terrible. So taking a look at arrows, now we can see, yes, archery level 2 and fabrication 3 and survival 1 I think are the minimum for making wooden arrows, which are the staple arrow for early game. The field point arrows I don't usually make because look at their stats. They have less armor pierce, less damage, and less range. Although they're and worse dispersion as well. And that's all in exchange for what? Reduced reduced recipe or resources required, I think would be a good term for that. In fact, let's right now compare the two. We know they need the fletching, of course, and at least something like a 2x4 for the body of the arrow, and something like thread or sinew for the binder. But the uncommon ingredient in the two of these is looking to be the field point arrow seems to need something like a rock, whereas the other one seems to need something like only metal. Very interesting. Anyway, that's enough speculation. Let's actually make some. I like to do batch recipe checking to see what exactly I can do with these. And so we can see here the fletching is the component we have short first, and then the second is the sinew, which we're going to need more of, or a replacement for at least. We can disassemble rags to get some thread in order to make the binder, and the fletching we can tear apart books to make for. So we can just quickly do both of those things, starting with the rags, and that's down here. I think we only need to disassemble 2 or 3 rags to get plenty of thread, and we have a lot more than we need for that. Remembering what else? The books. I only disassembled the really useless books. So if we take a closer look, we don't want to spend any books that have recipes in them, of course. So checking which ones do. This one, these 3 in a row. This one, this one, and all the rest of these are only useful for fun, and I don't really read books for fun very often. In the game, I mean. Yeah, it looks like all the gray books. Actually, I remember now. The yellow books are the ones marked to have recipes still in them, and the gray ones don't have anything but fun value. And so now we can tell at a glance. I just remembered that. Being very careful to only pick out these gray ones. This is going to provide so much paper. We're going to be swimming in paper. There. And now, next to the window, we can begin our work. Oh, we don't want those in there. We don't even want the possibility of accidentally disassembling those. They're too valuable. Anyway, we can start with the rags. They take long. I think I might need to disassemble more rags than I thought. I think each arrow takes about 20 to 30 of that, maybe even 40, I don't remember. These only take seconds, so I can just go straight through those. Fumbling the keys. I wish disassembling was easier. In fact, I wish there was something like bulk disassembling. That would be really nice. Actually, I wonder if there is something like that. I might want to check later, but right now I'll just do it this way. In fact, right now I should make a time lapse. Oops. There goes the bow. Just going to quickly recraft that, since we still have some daylight left. Never mind, we don't have enough light left. So we're just going to need to, this is a disaster. I think we have enough paper. Yeah, I think it would be a waste of time to bother making any more. And so now checking again, we can see we can already make a lot more errors than before, and the limiting factor now is the thread. And later on it appears, yes, chunks of steel will no longer be available either. But those aren't very bad limits. And so now, we just need to do some more rag disassembly. There, everything is in place. We can make up to 140 arrows if we wanted to, but we're going to start with about 50. There, and now we are prepared to do some minor clearing of areas. with only 50 arrows, we shouldn't get into anything too large, especially simple wooden arrows. Later on, we should be able to make steel broadhead arrows, which are one of my favorite mid-game arrows to use. I actually use exclusively that type of arrow on my best current character, which he is quite an anomalous one. Anyway, now it is nighttime, and the character is tired and slightly injured. Actually, since it is nighttime, we should be able to go out and do some more furniture disassembling without being seen from afar, which would be quite opportune. However, there is the danger of being snuck up on by zombies, which would be the opposite of what we want. Eventually, if we keep making runs like this, we can get a lot of 2x4s in reserve, and eventually maybe even start constructing walls and things like that. I've never actually constructed a full building in this game yet, because of the sheer resources it requires, and also the time investment. But the results speak for themselves, I'm sure. Building a whole log cabin in the wilderness, the sense of accomplishment must be quite severe. What else can we do out here at nighttime? Yeah, shouldn't travel at night, especially in the city. Oh yeah, we could start another fire and do some more training. As you can see, actually as you can't see because it's too dark to read, there's still a lot of reading left to do. Although, another thing we could do is rest in order to reset the tired debuff, which would also be nice. Oh, look who it is. Exactly what I didn't want to have happen. Now I'm going to need to find a way to... Actually, I'll think about that after I'm done taking care of this. Oh yeah, and I just now noticed we're very cold. I should have made gloves or something like that. I really hate these acidic zombies. Oh, and look at this. They also destroyed a bookcase. How nice of them. Now we're going to need to find a way to replace that too. The first step is to board that up, and then after that is to smash this the rest of the way out. And then we're just going to move this spare bookcase into the open area down there that was left behind. There, everything is cleaned up and fixed now. I put it on instead of wielding it. I think now would be an okay time to actually craft those gloves, because this is getting irritating. Let's just look at this. It looks like this would be the best. Wait, we have leather gloves? Well, that would circumvent all of those needs. Let's see here. Here they are, but they're a poor fit. And so they have 10 encumbrance, which is pretty bad. In fact, taking a look, we can see reloading costs plus 30 movement points. That's horrible. And dexterity is minus 2. When throwing items, that is. Reduces aim speed of guns by 2. That's... yeah, we're not going to be wearing these for very long, but now the legs have a problem. Actually, taking a look. This is just... hold on, let's see. Actually, I think there's something in this pile we can wear. We're beginning with another one of these, seeing how that works. It doesn't look like enough. This whole night's been a disaster. I think we might want to actually spend a few resources to figure this problem out better. So now that we have light, we can focus more on this. Actually, there's one thing I know we can do. Now we can salvage all of this clothing and either disassemble it or wear it directly. So now taking a look at what we have. We can put on another one of these. And yet another one. And that might be useful. And so now looking, we're horribly over encumbered, but at least we're warm. Actually, feet, arms, and torso are overly warm. Probably because we're so close to the fire. Yeah, look at it now. I think making these fingerless gloves actually transforms the poor fitting gloves into fitting gloves. Yeah, it does. But now they're cold again. Yeah. Is that enough yet? No, not really. Let's take a look. Yeah, everything in yellow is something that's conflicting with something else. It looks like we're probably going to be wearing 20 pairs of gloves before the night is over. There, that looks like barely enough. And hands are only encumbered by 2 points, which isn't that bad. It is bad, just not that bad. There. Oh, and look, it's 1 hour until dawn and we're still tired. Oh well, let's see what we can still do anyway. Waking up 5 hours from dusk. What would that be the equivalent of? 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And so, if we do go out and to any of these places around right now, we'll probably be coming back at nighttime. Actually, I just noticed this up here. I'm going to mark that as well. There. In fact, that might... No, actually. This down here is the closest right now. And it appears that this street right here is the primary way to get to it. Or we could actually go across here in order to get around most of the city in the way. Oh, I just had a thought. We have a bicycle. I forgot about that. And so we should be able to go out to here, down to here, and then into here because this is a field. And so we'll be behind the garage. This looks bad. I should speed up slightly. Did that damage the bicycle being in the acid? No, actually. Thankfully. Oh, and I just noticed, look up here. There's this one and this one that are scientists. Yeah, very interesting. Oh, look at this. I can already see from the icon there's ammunition there for a shotgun. This entire area is crazy. Look, there's even a manhack. They're just casually wandering around, no particular reason for its existence. Oh, and there's another bicycle right here. Only it's lacking wheels. Going slowly in order to not miss anything interesting. This house has been caved in from something. Possibly a Hulk, or maybe some kind of explosive. Down here there is a lot of, there's more scientist zombies and also military zombies. and a lot of dogs. Just a lot of really bad things around here. Oh, wait. This is a hardware store. Yeah, I think we have enough time to stop in there. Yeah, I think the fence would provide us enough spare time to be here and then gone. So watch this. I hope that manhack isn't too fast. There. And now we should have enough time from the fence. I don't see anything else in here that's worth the time. Oh, that manhack is getting irritating. Oh, it looks like they're already through. It looks like we're going to need to try to kite them back away from this in order to get that bike out. Yeah, that's something I didn't think about. Yeah, so, here's the next maneuver. Thankfully, our walking pace is pretty fast. Notice this 60 liter tank over here. It can hold a lot of water or other liquid. Ah yes, now you see it's cleared up. So here's what we're going to do next. That manhack is the biggest problem we're having. I hate them. I tried to shoot the manhack but missed. Actually, let's see if they damage the bicycle while we're at it. Yeah, the saddle and the wheel. Yeah. The thing is, these manhacks are so fast that once they find you, and if you can't destroy them in time, they're just going to keep attritioning you to death. I successfully hit it anyway. With melee, not with a weapon. I mean, not with a ranged weapon. So now, they filled back up again. And they're going to stay there, aren't they? We better not damage it any further. Look at how many there are now. They seem to be piling in for some reason. And there's these things up here. These spitters are one of the worst things you can find early game. Other than maybe a shocker brute. You see, this field out here is going to be good for us. There's a lot of tall grass that we move through quickly, but others don't. And we're just running into more of them down here. Now, where are we on the map? Now we're actually halfway to the garage we were going to originally. Ow, that's bad. Here's an idea. There. Now they're going to be distracted with that. Looking around here, we can see Oh wow. That's not good over there. And over there is only marginally better. And the bicycle is... looks like it's still in okay condition. Looks like we're going to need to do some horde management before we can get it back though. Ugh, a dead Migo. That doesn't bode well for this area in general. There being a Migo there in the first place is pretty bad, but having a dead one, that implies there was something stronger than it that killed it. This is really getting to be irritating now. It looks like this is cleared enough though that we can pull it out. So I'm going to draw them over here and then sprint to the bicycle and then get on and drive it away. Hold on a second. It wasn't exactly what I wanted, but it's close enough. And it's also not exactly what I planned either. So that's half of what we need to start getting into vehicles more seriously. So I'm just going to be going back around to here. And they don't even suspect anything of it. This house down here looks like it's been trapped, so if we walk in there we're probably going to run into a shotgun trap and get exploded in half. Perfect. Actually the opposite of perfect. Oh, there's something in there. Nothing too serious. We can actually just take care of that right now. The reason I actually haven't used the bow on many of these zombies yet is because I felt like it would have been a waste to try to gnaw down on that big horde. Instead, I should only focus on the small groups so that I can be more efficient. Especially since the big hordes, they have the advantage of attrition over you. And so they can drain your resources really quickly, but you can't drain them very quickly. And so eventually they'll wear you down. Just a quick status report. The bicycle looks good enough. Yes. So now we should be able to leave again. This area, I don't think we should come back to until we are better equipped. Those shaded zombies are one of the least intimidating things ever at daytime, and one of the most intimidating things ever at nighttime. Wait, what's this I'm seeing? A large quiver. That might be somewhat useful. You know what I can do? I can just quickly stop the bicycle, draw this zombie out. Correction, I don't think it's a good idea to stay around here very much longer. I'll be back for that later then, not right now. And oh, look at this, another solar vehicle. But I'm not going this direction right now for obvious reasons, as you can see. Yes. But I am marking this. There. It's not a good idea to go between these two houses either because of those things in the way. It shouldn't be that hazardous to go this way. Especially not if we speed up some. It's okay, I can drive blind, it's fine. Nothing to worry about. That, however, down there is definitely something to worry about. A shocker brute. Right next to the garage we were heading to. And I don't think it's noticed us though, fortunately. It has now though. If that thing gets close to us, we're doomed. What's nearby? Another solar vehicle over there I can mark. Is it even a good idea to stay around here any longer? Even to get the components we're looking for? We'll give it an effort, and then if we can't do it, we'll just leave. That Shrieker is going to draw in the shaded ones. Look at this. I think this is one case in which we can make a small stand. But if that shocker brute decides to round that corner, we're leaving. No question about it. I don't think I would even stop to pick up arrows at that point. These welding goggles will be useful. So I only found one thing we're looking for, and it's that those welding goggles. Those will actually be an important component for later, when we make the makeshift welder or find one. I'll probably maybe be making one because I actually haven't found one yet. What else can we do around here? I should also unmark this, because we're not going to be coming back for anything. Perhaps this construction site, although that is pretty close to the really bad hardware store that we came from. I should end the episode right now on a cliffhanger.